Afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophie Bryden, and today we'll be looking at how to obtain secondary structures of tRNA. I'll specifically be using the tRNA found in the invertebrate mitochondrial genome of Menepe mercenaria, also known as the Florida stone crab. So first, what you want to do is pull up a few files. So the first file we're going to need is simply a file that has all of your tRNA sequences listed. So I'm going to pull up my manual creation, and here I have my tRNAs. For this exercise, we're going to be using the tRNA-2. Another file you want to pull up is this results file I have copied here in my tRNA drive, which we'll need once we're obtaining that secondary structure. Now that you have both of these files pulled up, I'm going to take us to a website called tRNA, which I have bookmarked here on the right. So tRNA is where we'll obtain our secondary structures. Now, to get started, first what we're going to do is click Add Molecule. And as you can see here, the current setup is we have this FASTA format that we're used to where we insert our molecule name. And then our second row here is our sequence of our tRNAs. And then our third row here is this series of periods and parentheses, which are used to indicate and represent how our nucleotides listed in row 2 interact with one another and try to predict how they will look in a secondary structure. So this gives us clues and helps the website figure out how our tRNA should be put together and how it should look. So when we're forming our secondary structure analysis, first we can name our molecule. I'm going to name it Menepe _ tRNL2. So the name of my species and then the name of my tRNA that I'll be analyzing. Now I'm going to go over to this file here to obtain the nucleotide sequence. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it right over here in the second row. Now I'm going to go to this results file. I'm going to go full screen so I can fully see what my file looks like, and I'm going to find my tRNA-L2, which is the second row here. And then what you want to do is copy, starting at this first parenthesis here, all the way to the end of your row. Make sure you copy everything there. And once we have that copied, we're going to paste that over our third row. Something you should note is that the number of periods and parentheses should match with the number of nucleotides, which we can see is the case here. So now that I have those pasted, we no longer need these two files, and we can obtain our secondary structure. So now that I have these all listed, I'm going to click Submit, and we'll have our secondary structure. So this is a cloverleaf-like structure that we often see in many tRNAs. I'll show you a scenario where we don't have that in a little bit, but for now I'm going to download my sequence using this download button in the bottom right corner. And I'm going to download it as a PNG so we can use it as an image later on. So once this is downloaded, I'm going to rename it the same as I did when I was obtaining my structure, Menepe _ tRNL2. And I'm going to save it into my Menepe mercenaria Google Drive on my desktop. So once that is done, we have our Menepe 2RNL secondary structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into a PowerPoint presentation so that we may get a good visual depiction of all 22 of our tRNAs. So what we're going to do is insert an image from a file. We're going to click Picture from a file, and then we're going to insert our tRNL2 file. So let's go over here. Go to where our tRNL2 file is, and we're going to click Insert. And so it'll insert as a simple image, and then we're going to want to give it a label so we know which tRNA it is. I'm going to make it a little smaller so that I can fit the rest of my tRNAs later, and then I'm going to insert a text box right below it, titled tRNL2. And you can make that look prettier by centering it in the middle of your photo. And you can play around with this as you add in more tRNAs And as you can see here, the final product should look something like this tRNA depiction file I already have pulled up here. Once it loads, yes, so here's all 22 of my tRNAs, and I have them all loaded into a nice PowerPoint file with labels of which tRNA they are. And as you can see here, almost all of them have that clover leaf-like structure that we wanted, except for my tRNA here, tRNS1, which has a slightly different structure, but based on literature, that isn't uncommon. So here's how you get a secondary structure of your tRNAs, and you can do this for all of your tRNAs in your sequence. Thank you.